What's going on, people? Good Saturday morning. Hope you're doing well. Almost game day. We are about 28 and a half hours away from kickoff. And this is one of those games that you kind of need to bank. You need to bank this one. The end of the season is going to have some difficulties. You've got some tough challenges coming up. Not all aspects of the team are playing great right now. There are definitely going to be some things you're going to have to overcome in the coming weeks. So while the opportunity is here to play a team that I know they're playing a little better lately, but a team that is 0-5 on the road, playing a team that doesn't really have a quarterback at all, playing a team that has many, many deficiencies across the board on their roster, you got to bank the win. And if you do bank the win, you're going to be in a great position to make the playoffs, even if you don't have the greatest end of the year. So, got to make it happen. I know this Panthers team is doing some things right lately. Their defense, in particular, has stepped up in recent games, but you still have to find a way. You're playing at home. Carolina's flying 3,000 miles to come in. This is not like the Raiders. The Raiders basically, it's a quick little, not even 1,000-yard trip up to Seattle for them, I believe. Maybe it's about 1,000. I'm not 100% sure, but something like that. This is a little bit different. You're playing a Panthers team that, I mean, obviously they've turned their season around a little bit ever since they got rid of Matt Rule. They've really found something under the guidance of all people, Steve Wilkes. But that can't be an excuse. That can't be the excuse right now. You already kind of had your trash game against the Raiders. That was a game that you came in expecting to win. That was a game you had opportunities to win, and you couldn't close the deal. You can't have another one. If you want to make this season, if you want to get this season into the garage, if you want to park this thing in the garage, this surprising season where most people didn't think you were going to be that good, and now you're good, it involves you getting it done against a team like the Carolina Panthers. So I I will say, I will admit, the events of the last few games for the Seahawks have me a little bit concerned. I don't know how to feel about this one. I don't have as much confidence as I hoped. I wonder what this team is going to do to adjust to the shortcomings of the previous three games, particularly when it comes to their run defense. But I will say this, the things on this team that are working, mostly that passing game, I have a good amount of faith in it, and I believe it'll be enough to carry the day and get the Seahawks this win. So just right off the start, let me just immediately say that I think we win. But the conviction of me believing that is not entirely there. And let's try to understand this, okay? So, a month ago, you played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and obviously they're one of the worst running teams in the league. One of the worst running teams ever, according to many metrics. So, you go into that game expecting Tampa Bay's not really going to run the ball. They're not even going to try. Well, they did try, and they ran all over you. So then the next week, you're playing against the Raiders, who have some severe injuries to their passing attack. They've got Devontae Adams, and they're missing their other key guys in that passing attack. And they got Josh Jacobs. So you would expect the team to go, okay, wow, our run defense really got bowled over against Tampa Bay. Now we're going to make sure that doesn't happen against the Raiders. No, Josh Jacobs had a career best game on you, ran all over you, did whatever he wanted for most of that game. And then the next week, you're playing the Rams with all kinds of injuries, garbage offensive line, no running backs that they actually like, and a bum quarterback, a backup quarterback who barely belongs in the NFL. So I'm thinking of that game, okay, now you're really going to learn your lesson. You know you're playing a lackluster quarterback, not much of a passing attack. You're going to clamp down on the run. No, doesn't happen at all. You clamp down on Cam Akers, you did all right against him, but the fly sweep, the jet sweep stuff killed you. John Wolford running with the ball kind of got to you. So going into this game against the Panthers, normally you'd say, okay, they're going to have Sam Darnold at quarterback, and hopefully it is Sam Darnold. I believe it is. Obviously, PJ Walker gives you more to think about. PJ Walker might be a better quarterback if healthy at this point, so hopefully it is Sam Darnold. You do have some pretty good receivers, but they're not among the best in the league. and it's an offensive line that seems to be more about run blocking than pass blocking. So you look at all that and you go, okay, obviously we're going to go into this game and we're going to throw everything we got at the on run defense. We're going to put 8 men in the box. We're going to bring the safety up, and we're going to leave receivers in single coverage, and we're going to focus everything on making sure the run gets stopped. No 2-man fronts. We're going to run 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts if need be, whatever it takes. Donta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, they're not going to win this game for Carolina. I'd love to say that, but is that actually going to be what happens? I just don't have a ton of confidence in it, because if you can't stop the run against the Rams in the state that their offense was in, it's hard to have confidence against anybody. So right off the bat, what I'm going to be looking for in this game is hopefully we have made those defensive adjustments. Because I'm going to reiterate this. Sam Darnold, I know he played kind of sort of okay against the Broncos, and they had a pretty decent game there, but he's not good. This offense with him at the helm should not be very good. And if you force him to make some throws, he's going to turn the ball over a couple times in all likelihood. He's a turnover machine, always has been, going back to college. Even when he was playing for a relatively stacked USC offense, he still turned the ball over, and he turns the ball over in the pros. So you put him into situations where he can, and he probably will. So if you can stop the run, good things will happen. But that's the part that I just wish I had a little more confidence in. Us stopping the run. Donta Foreman has had some very big games over the last couple months, ever since they traded Christian McCaffrey. I think he's had a couple games where he's pushed up near 200 yards. He ran fairly well against the Broncos last time the Panthers played. They're coming off their bye week, I believe. And Chuba Hubbard, nice change of pace. I don't know if it's Chuba or Chubba, but I'm going to say it both ways and assume I got it right half the time. And if we can't stop that run, if they run on us, if we go up in those 2-man fronts, if Barton and Brooks are missing their gaps, then we're not going to be able to feast on the Sam Darnold stuff, because he's never going to have to do anything hard. You got to force Sam Darnold into 2nd and long, 3rd and long. You give him 2nd and 6 and 3rd and 2 all game, you're never going to force him to do anything where he can turn the ball over. It's going to be all smooth sailing for him. That's what you have to avoid. You got to get pressure on him. You got to force him to make suboptimal decisions. Obviously, the pass rush took a big step up against the Rams. Hopefully, we can keep that up. This Panthers offensive line, led by Ekwonu, their top rookie, you definitely have to say they're more of a run blocking unit than a pass blocking unit. They also have a Bozeman, guy they pulled over from the Ravens at center. He's a really good center, but more of a run blocker than a pass blocker, generally speaking, I would say. So when it comes to those passing downs, when it comes to those passing plays, that's the key. You get pressure. You know you've got Tariq Woolen out on the left side, basically taking away that whole side of the field. That's where we are right now. It's very hard to complete any passes over to that side right now. But we also have to acknowledge this Carolina receiver core, pretty good. DJ Moore, nice player, produces fairly well even without having a good quarterback. And I like Chenault Jr. and I like Terrace Marshall. So they've got some receivers over there. So you've got to get to Darnold and make him uncomfortable. And if you can do that, I do believe this game can go our way. But you only can get to do that if you stop the run. When the Seahawks are on offense, this Panthers defense is like, it's got some really nice pieces to it, but it also has some really big holes. And on the whole this year, they've been okay. But I should point out, the last 3 games they played, they've actually been really good. They held the Falcons to 15, they held the Ravens to 13, and the Broncos to 10. And of the Broncos' 10 points, 7 were garbage time, and 3 came off a muffed punt. So it was basically 0 when you think about what you're blaming the defense for. So this defense is playing their best football right now, led by guys like Brian Burns. We've talked a lot about Brian Burns on this channel before. We all know he's a very good edge rusher, very good defensive end. And Derek Brown's having a breakout year. Derek Brown was somebody who was a solid, effective NFL starter in previous years. This year, it looks like he's become the best version of himself as a run-stuffing defensive tackle who eats up blockers and makes life easier for your linebackers. Shaq Thompson's still playing fairly well. Frankie Luvu, outside linebacker, is actually having a really nice season for him as well. So they've got good things going on at the linebacker spot. And they've also got Joe Horn's son, Horn Jr., another one of these NFL juniors that seem to always find success in the NFL, it feels like. Unless you're Randy Moss's son, I guess. But those guys always seem to be able to find NFL success. I think there's a correlation there. But they've also got big holes. They're still giving a lot of snaps to Gross Matos, who has been a big disappointment for them so far. They drafted him fairly high a couple years ago, and he doesn't seem like he's much of a player. C.J. Henderson, a guy they traded for last year, a former top 10 pick, doesn't seem like he's been very good for him. And they've been forced to use Jeremy Chin as a nickel corner on nickel downs, which is not a role that he is well suited for, I don't believe. And you see it. So it is definitely a Panthers defense that is loaded with good players, but it's also loaded with some really bad players. And it's going to be all about, can you take advantage of their bad players? Can you get Jeremy Chin in the slot against Tyler Lockett? Tyler Lockett could get open 100 times out of 100 in coverage against Jeremy Chin. So get that matchup. Good things are going to happen. Honestly, get anybody against Jeremy Chin in the slot. Get Marquise Goodwin, DK Metcalf, anybody. I'm good for it. I want to see what happens. And take advantage of that. Take advantage of some of their weaknesses on the defensive line, like Gross Matos, who they kick inside on nickel downs. Honestly, maybe you should play most of this game forcing the Panthers to play nickel. That way you force Chin and Gross Matos into those roles. Straight up, I'm going to say it, our backfield is a bit of a mess right now. Ken Walker, DJ Dallas, Travis Homer. Who the heck knows? Who the heck knows who we're going to have? And quite frankly, I'm going to just say I don't really care who we have. The run blocking has been so inconsistent lately, mostly from the center and I would say right guard spots, that it's just really hard to believe that any running back could have success behind these blockers. So right off the bump, I'm going to say, don't worry about the running game that much. It's probably not going to be there. Derek Brown against our interior offensive line, namely the center and right guard, because that's obviously the side of the ball he's on most of the time. That's not good. That's going to be a big problem. And whoever the running back is, whoever we actually have lining up at running back from snap to snap, I can't say I expect great things. I just can't, because the blocking is not there. And against this Panthers team in particular, it's just going to be hard to create those lanes. And for whatever reason, we're not really committing to the running to the edge. We're not committing to the outside zone. We're not committing to the jet sweeps. So I can't expect a lot of that. We don't really have the personnel that we would ideally like to have to do that. So the running game, it's obviously going to have to keep the defense honest a little bit, but I'm not looking forward to win the game. I'm looking at Geno. I'm looking at Geno to go after some of these not so great corners like C.J. Henderson, like Jeremy Chin lining up at nickel. I'm looking at him targeting his tight ends. You can, on top of the nickel packages, you can also get two tight ends on the field and try to challenge their Sam linebacker in coverage. He's somebody I think you can pick on. And that is how you win this game. You dance with the girl you brought, and the girl we brought is Geno Smith. He's been the main reason why you've been winning games lately. The running game is just way too inconsistent. For this game, I'm inclined to believe that if you stick with it, you're going to be beating your head into the wall. So I trust Geno to get it done. This Panthers pass rush is pretty good, but it's also got some weaknesses. There are going to be some opportunities to double up on guys because some of their other guys are not a big threat. So that is my main takeaway here. There are a lot of problems on the Seahawks team right now. I expect the Panthers to have some success in some areas. But at the end of the day, this passing attack is going to put us over the top. They're going to find a way to put us over the top. And that is where my faith lies right now. Nowhere else but this offensive passing attack. And after the game they just had, I don't see how you could put your faith anywhere else. The way Geno, Lockett, Metcalf, and all these tight ends are playing, They deserve your trust. So I'm looking at something like 24-20 Seahawks. Maybe you win it in the fourth quarter like you did against the Rams. Maybe you're able to stave off a last-minute comeback on a drive where Darnold is forced to go make plays. Maybe he gets the ball with a few minutes left, and you take the running game away from him, and he's just got to march his team down the field himself, and he might not be able to do that one way or the other. You're going to find a way to do it. You got to find a way to do it. This is the kind of game that you just got to find a way to win. This team has not won a road game all season long, and despite their good play recently, they're still a deeply flawed team that, at the end of the day, doesn't have a real quarterback. The closest thing they have to a quarterback is P.J. Walker. I don't think he's playing in this game. And honestly, even if P.J. Walker does play, you still have to find a way. You have to show me that you are physically capable of stopping the run against somebody. That is what it takes for me to believe that this team can actually make the playoffs. So, while I am saying 24-20 Seahawks, I want to see the signs of life from this run defense over the first several drives of this game before I really buy in. Right now, I'm saying it, but only part of me believes it. So, make me believe it. All right. I'll see you guys later. There might be another video later today. There might not. I don't know. But we'll definitely do a post-game video tomorrow. Post-game stream is going to be delayed, possibly by a day, maybe 2. We will see. I'll do what I can when I can. But, yeah, that's what's on deck this week. Got to bank this win so you give yourself some cushion against some of the better teams you're going to be playing coming up. So, that's my take. Let's hope it happens. Go Hawks. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let's get this win. Get to 8 wins. Above where I ever thought we were going to be this year. And move from there.